The model didn't break your parser. Your parser broke because it never asked one question. Welcome to the Atlas. You've parsed JSON by hand and lost a night to it more than once. This is the recovery playbook, and it starts with a field you've been ignoring. Every integration carries the same scar tissue. You prompt respond only in JSON. You wrap the parse in a try except. You retry on any exception. It works most of the time, and that last sliver pages you at 2 in the morning. You spend that night debugging the parser when the model already told you what went wrong. The loop never asks why the response stopped. It throws every kind of failure into the same parse and retry, including 2 kinds that no amount of retrying can fix. The parser is a smoke alarm. It tells you something's on fire. It doesn't tell you what's burning. Retrying a failure you haven't diagnosed is just hope with a loop around it. The model isn't the unreliable part. The missing question is. And that question has a name. Every successful response carries it. Here is the field. Every successful response from the API carries a stop reason, a single word that says exactly why the model stopped generating. It is not an error that your network try except would ever catch. That's the part that traps people. A refusal and a truncation both come back as a successful 200, with a telling stop reason in the body. They are not exceptions. So a try except around the network call never sees them. They slip straight into your parser and explode there, looking like random corruption. Read the stop reason first, and 3 of your most common bugs become 3 known branches. End turn means the model finished naturally, so the output is safe to parse. Max tokens means it was cut off. Refusal means it declined. Only the first branch is a parse problem. The other 2 aren't parser bugs at all, which is exactly why retrying them never works. But reading the stop reason is recovery. There's a deeper root cause underneath the whole ritual, and naming it turns recovery into prevention. For years, you treated a probability as if it were a guarantee. A prompt asks for a shape and hopes. The documentation itself now says it plainly. If you need valid JSON that conforms to a schema every time, use structured outputs instead of these prompt tricks. The difference lies 1 level below the prompt. At the moment the model picks its next token, constraining doesn't ask the model to try harder. It removes the invalid choices from what it's even allowed to pick. A letter where a digit must go, gone. A quote where a number must go, gone. A prompt changes what's likely. A grammar changes what's possible. So the strongest fix for a recurring bug isn't a better retry. It's making invalid output unreachable. And there are 3 places you can do that. Start with recovery, because you'll always need it. The latter is short, and it's the same dispatch the documentation recommends. Check the stop reason, then branch. End turn is the only branch where the output is safe to parse. The response finished naturally, so parse it. Max tokens means the model ran into the token limit, and the output may be incomplete and may not match your schema. Refusal means the model declined for safety. The refusal message takes precedence over the schema, so the output may not match, and retrying it the same way will just keep refusing. That last one is worth a second. On the current models, a refusal even hands you a category, so you can route a safety decline differently from a generic one instead of throwing it back into the same loop. 3 lines of dispatch replace a night of debugging. You're no longer guessing why the JSON is bad. The response told you, and each answer has a move. Truncation is the cause that disguises itself as flakiness. A long response runs into the token limit and stops mid-object. The JSON arrives with a dangling brace, and your parser throws, but only sometimes, because it depends on how long the answer was. So it looks random. It isn't. When the stop reason is max tokens, the documentation is explicit. The output may be incomplete and may not match your schema. So retry with a higher token limit to get the complete output. Or, if you don't want to restart from scratch, append the partial answer back as the assistant turn, ask it to continue from where it left off, and stitch the 2 halves together. The exact same move applies when the cut off lands in the middle of a tool call. Raise the limit, retry. A truncated object isn't corrupt. It's unfinished. The fix isn't a better parser. It's more room. Never a blind retry at the same limit, because that just truncates again. When the JSON you want is the model's answer itself, a sentiment, a list of issues, a record for a database, you can stop recovering and remove the failure. One parameter constrains the response to your schema, and the whole parse error class disappears. You add an output config object whose format is typed JSON schema, and you hand it your schema, the properties, the required fields, and additional properties set to false, which the feature requires for objects. The response then comes back as valid JSON in the first content block's text field. No parse gymnastics, no retry loop. The documentation's own promise, no more parse errors, guaranteed field types, no retries for schema violations. One note for anyone migrating. The parameter used to be called the output format parameter, and it now lives at the output configs format field. You don't have to handwrite the schema, define it as a Pydantic model or a Zod schema, and the toolkit generates it for you, parses the result into a typed object, and even quietly fixes the unsupported keywords it can. This is the difference between handling the error and erasing it. The parser you wrote to survive bad JSON is no longer load-bearing. Sometimes the structured data you need isn't the prose, it's the arguments to a function the model is calling. A booking tool needs passengers as an integer, and the model hands you the string 2. That's the same invalid JSON bug wearing a different hat. Set strict to true as a top-level flag on the tool, alongside its name, description, and input schema. Now the arguments are guaranteed to match. The string 2, or 2, becomes the integer 2 every time, with no validate and retry wrapper. It's the very same grammar engine as the response fix, just pointed at the tool's inputs. When you need to guarantee you get structured data at all, force the call. The tool choice parameter has 4 settings: auto, any, tool, and none. And forcing a tool also suppresses the friendly preamble that was breaking your parser in the first place. Pair tool choice any with strict, and you get both a tool is called, and its inputs are valid. One edge to remember: forcing a tool isn't compatible with extended thinking. Sometimes you can't constrain, you need flexibility beyond a strict schema, or you're on a surface that doesn't support it. The prompt engineering techniques still work as a fallback, but one of them you used to lean on is gone. Specify the format precisely in JSON or a template. Give concrete examples of the output you want. Examples teach the shape far better than abstract rules. But the old reliable trick, pre-filling the assistant turn with an opening brace to skip the preamble and force the shape, is no longer supported on the current flagship models. The documentation's own remedy is the constrained fix you just learned, or system prompt instructions. So the moment you reach for that pre-fill brace, that's your signal to reach for the schema feature instead. Here's the beat that separates knowing the names from knowing the edges: 4 confident answers that feel right and fail anyway. Trap 1, just retry until it parses. But a refusal and a truncation both come back as success. Retry them the same way, and you spin forever, or you corrupt. Check the stop reason first. Trap 2. Structured output solved it. Guaranteed is bounded. Constrained decoding guarantees a completed non-refuse generation, but a refusal still beats the schema, and a token cutoff still hands you a broken object. Trap 3. JSON schema is supported, so add a minimum. It's a subset. Numerical limits like minimum, string limits like max length, and recursive schemas all return a 400 error. Trap 4. One parameter does structured output. There are 3 surfaces: the response, a tool input, and a force tool, and 3 parameters. Pick the wrong one, and you fight the API. Every one of those traps is the edge of a fix you already learned. The one who fails picks the answer that's true most of the time. The one who passes knows the rest. Put it on one screen. The parse through. Here's exactly what you do in order. First move, always read the stop reason. Never parse blind. End turn, parse it. Max tokens. Raise the limit or continue in stitch. Refusal, handle it and don't retry into a wall. Then ask the bigger question: is this bug recurring? If it is, stop recovering and remove it. Constrain the response with the output config format. Constrain a tool's inputs with strict. Force the tool when you need the call guaranteed. Fall back to specifying the format with examples only when you genuinely can't constrain. Recovery handles today's failure. Prevention means tomorrow's never happens. The model was never the unreliable part of your integration. The missing question was, and now you ask it first. 5 things to carry out of this one: read the stop reason first, never parse blind. Branch on it, end turn, parse, max tokens, retry, or continue, refusal, handle it. A truncated object is unfinished, not corrupt. Give it room. For the bug that keeps paging you, make invalid output unreachable. On the response, on a tool's inputs, or by forcing the tool. Remember, even guaranteed has edges, a refusal, a cutoff, and the schema subset. That's the recovery playbook: diagnose, branch, and make the failure impossible. Thanks for watching the Atlas. Subscribe for the next prompt engineering unit, system prompts, and XML structure, the scaffolding that shapes how the model thinks before it answers. See you there.